You're listening to the Game Tenants Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Game Tenants Podcast, the failed adventures of two gamers and their quest for Gamecast stardom. This is episode 56, and I am Church of the Game Grinder, joined by my excellent co-host, Justin, Cardboard Zero.
How is it going, man? We got a great episode for you guys tonight. We're going to do a little catching up what we've been doing, what we've been playing. We got some pretty good news topics to talk about this week, and we have a new segment we're going to try with you guys called What Up With That?
What up with that?
But yeah, right? What up with that? But we'll get to that a little later in the episode. But for now, Church, what have you been up to, man?
I have been playing Breath of the Wild still, and that's about it. Still. So I think I'm about 60, 65 hours at this point.
Good Lord.
Last night I took down, or whatever you want to refer to it as, took over the third divine beast, so I only have
no spoilers now. No spoilers.
Well, not really spoiler at this. I would.
I know.
Maybe. I don't know. Hopefully not. Everybody who's listening is probably aware because they know games. But did that, so I got my last one to take care of, and I think I got 3 more like regions to reveal and kind of explore.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm kind of suspecting maybe the next 20 hours or so, maybe this week, I might finish up Breath of the Wild because that's pretty much all I've been playing since I haven't been doing like the YouTube stuff and whatnot. That's mostly gaming. I did play a little bit of Overwatch. Just
cool.
A little bit on the weekends with the friends and stuff. That's always fun.
Little shooting them up in there on the internet.
You know, get a little of that online play, because that's, most part, playing games online with friends is kind of the best way to play games online.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, and I think that's been about it. It's kind of been a weird couple weeks, or a blur, I guess, with me like pretty much just playing Breath of the Wild. So...
Well, from the sounds of it sounds like it's consuming everything anyway. You're like 65 hours in the next 20 hours. Like, that's usually not a landmark for gaming. You're like, hopefully in the next 5 hours I'll be done. And you're like, I might even get another eighth of the way through in 20 hours.
Well, you get these big games. Like, for me, I kind of got to plan it out. Like, here's a, 60 to 100 hour game. Like, I got to be, I can only squeeze that in if it's going to take like a month or a month and a half, maybe 2 months tops, because especially coming up here, all kinds of new games coming out. So I need to be ready to go so my backlog doesn't continue to grow like 30 times fast as I can keep up on stuff. But, it is what it is.
A backlog? What do you mean by that?
What? Yeah. But I was trying to think. I had a thing. I was like, here's like one other kind of like revelation I had about Breath of the Wild, but for some reason I am not remembering it right now. So we'll just call it good on that. Yeah. It must have been. If I like recovered the whole like whatever 20 to 30 minute ramble that I did last time, I'm sure it would come up somewhere in there, but I think I've covered it pretty well this far. So
all right.
Yeah. So what have you been up to? What you been playing?
Boy, what have I been up to? Well, let's see. Well, we had a game meetup last weekend. Old Cardboard selling some of his stuff because he's got a fun going to college. Yeah, adult things. So I sold some Sega stuff off, some Sega CDs, some Sega Saturn.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. And for people who know, I sold some of the big boys off too, like Panzer Dragoon Saga and Albert Odyssey stuff like that. Some of the heavy hitters.
Not the first time.
Certainly not.
I always think it's fun to mention, especially with some of the listeners not being too familiar with you yet or some of your history, but you had a lot of, you still have some big heavy hitters, but you had some huge heavy hitters like Minty Hagane and Minty Complete Box. Yeah, I should say Complete Box, Hagane and Final Fight Guy. And what was the other one? Didn't you have another one of the big SNES ones, Ninja Gaiden Trilogy?
I didn't have that complete. I mean, I had it. Ninja Warriors was complete.
You had some stuff. And it's always worth saying when it comes to a lot of these like big ticket items is a lot of this stuff like you've had for 20 years, like when they were still new practically, and you didn't have to spend ridiculous prices on them at the same time.
I got Hagane when I was like 16. For reference, I'm 36. So 20 years ago, I got Hagane complete in box because the little store that I went to where I lived, the guy knew me. I was in there so much, and he's like, "Hey, you like Ninja Gaiden, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love Ninja Gaiden." And he's like, "Well, here, you should just buy this game." He pulls it off the back shelf, and I'm like, "What is it?" He's like, "It's like Ninja Gaiden. It's just, but it's crazier, and there's way more stuff to do in it." I'm like, "Okay, how much?" Like, I have no interest. I have no idea what this game is. He's like, $40. I'm like, all right, fine, throw it in the pile. And then years later, I go back in the store and he's like, "Hey, do you still have that Hagane I sold you?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Have you looked up what it's worth lately?" And I'm like, once I buy something, I don't really care if it goes up or down in value.
Right.
So,
yeah, same.
So, yeah, I mean, it was in the thousands. I was like, oh my God.
Yep. Well,
that happened.
Collecting video games can turn into great things like funding your college education.
And that's exactly what it's doing.
Yeah.
But don't be sad, listeners. Don't be sad. Once I get a big boy job from college, I will probably go buy everything I've sold, and if not in better condition than I sold it.
And I mean, what you still have is it's still a considerably large collection, pretty much covering like the whole gamut of JRPGs and RPGs. So, I mean, it's nothing to dismiss because your collection's still pretty awesome.
Well, like, I won't touch any of my Sony stuff. I won't touch my PS2, my PS1, my PSP, my Vita, stuff like that. A lot of my handhelds, like, no, I love the handheld stuff too much throughout the years. And so it's because, a lot of people are like, "Oh man, are you getting out of the collecting business?" I'm like, no, this is a tip of the iceberg, for the amount of stuff I've sold. So, but yeah, so that happened last weekend. Got to meet up with some friends, make some new ones down where the meet was, and it was a lot of fun. You always, when you get to sit there and talk shop with your friends that collect, it's always a good time. And it's always worth mentioning a big shout out to essentially the local, like Minnesota based collector groups, because I mean, we do meetups like bi-monthly almost at this point, and we have hangouts like outside of the meetups here and there, and people like our main community, which is actually, I think it's a secret group right now, where we'll basically like pull in people when we deem them worthy. Like there's not even, I mean, there's still buy, sell, trade in there, but it's a lot of just kind of like talking about games and stuff at the same time too. So. And the reason for that is like somebody might go, "Well, that sounds kind of like a dick thing to do." It's like, no, I mean, for most people listening, you're probably in some kind of retro trading and collecting, buying and selling group of some sort. And it's just, you get a lot of those people that are either the weekend warriors who come in and like, "Oh, hey guys, I have this bubble too. I don't know what it's worth." Wink. And they want you to do the work for them or tell them what it's worth because they don't know, but they know it's worth something. Mm-hmm. So it's secret for now because we keep a lot of the riffraff out. A lot of the people who are toxic to the community are just there to flip stuff. Like they'll buy something from church for $5 and try to sell it to me for 20.
Yeah.
Like,
and
just toxic.
And I mean, even our like I say, our main group, which is like our secret group, like it's pretty sizable. I think we got like 150 people in it right now. I mean, the main Minnesota group's a lot larger, but it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty good group. So, and then for what I've been playing, Well, I was actually, when I was testing some of the stuff, it was fun. I played a little bit of Resident Evil 1 on the Saturn to make sure it worked, and got to bask in the glory of the wonderful voice acting. I'm like, oh God, I love it. You almost became a Jill sandwich. Like, yes, yes.
I love that stuff.
I do too. It's campy, but I love it. What else? I played a little Night Trap. I had a copy of Night Trap that I bought years ago and never played it. So I'm like, well, make sure it works. And I was just clicking. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm clicking the cameras. I'm seeing the little like weird alien guys. I'm just like, what do I do? What do I do?
There's a little bit you kind of got to know going into it, because there's actually like little notifications, like when you got to click, like when you actually have to click when you see the dudes to like set up the camera or the traps and whatnot.
Well, let's just say the girl in the shower didn't make it. It wasn't for a lack of trying either, but
right.
So that was fun for all the 20 minutes I put into that. I'm just like, okay, I'll whatever, I'll move on. But then the other thing I've been playing is a little Shining Resonance, like I talked about last episode, and I'm loving it. I really am. Like I say, first and foremost, it has, fan service anime girl on the cover, and I'm just like, okay, I'll play. But
does it actually have like fan service in the game?
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes.
Like blatant,
like what?
Jiggly, or is it angels?
I haven't been paying attention to that as much, but like, okay. So first off, it plays a lot like the Tales of Destiny or Tales series, where it's that you run around, you can see the enemies, you can run into them, then it initiates the 360 battle where you can run around, attack, do combos. So, I mean, if you love the Tales series, this game's a little bit slower than the Tales series, like maybe by like 2 seconds slower for combat, but you'll be familiar with it. But the fan service comes from, I bought the like day one Middleton edition like we talked about, but there was no codes to download anything. There was nothing. It was just, okay. So I'm in my inventory looking at stuff at the different tabs, because I'm like, oh, what's this tab? And it was like key items, and it's like, change all your party members. They have like a ton of costumes. So right off the bat, your main character is a male, and then everybody else you get is female, oddly enough.
Okay,
so there's like,
it's going.
Yeah, so like you have the elf chick who's a priestess, you have the chick who's in plate mail armor, but yet her boobies are, pushed up there, and so you can change all their costumes right off the bat. There's like 4 different bikinis outfits for them, so they'll just run around in bikinis. It's like, yep. Like,
prepared
there's
for
no
battle.
download. Exactly. So yeah, fan service. Once you put them in the bikinis, then I notice some jiggle factor. But so yeah, so far it's pretty good. It's not disappointing. The voice acting, I'm a sucker for voice acting in the sense of I don't need the best voice acting in every video game I play ever. It's all in English, which was nice. Sega does a really good job with that. I was like, is this going to be... I'm not a big subtitle guy fan. Obviously, if the voice is in Japanese, kind of need the subtitles, but they did a really good job of the voice acting, I thought. And
that's good.
I'm really enjoying it. So
yeah, I'd say I'm a little bit more flexible with voice acting in video games. If I'm watching like an anime that's in English or something, I'll be a little bit more judgmental on that, just because I'm trying to like be more engrossed, and the dialogue is a big part of TV shows and movies and whatnot. And games, like, yeah, the dialogue's important, but it's it'd be fine if it was just text based. So yeah, so that's good to hear. And for the most part, a lot of the games that I've played more recently with voice acting, and including some like Japanese developed games, like I can't really complain. A lot of notable voice actors too. Once you start looking up people, you're like, oh crap, I didn't realize they were in this and that, and so on and so forth. So how have you played many of the other like Shining games?
I've played a couple, like Shining Force on the Genesis. I played a couple of those. I never beat them because when I was younger, I didn't have a Genesis. I had Nintendo stuff. So when you're younger and there's no internet to tell you, hey, there's all these other cool games if you like these type of games. So it was later on that I got introduced in the Shining series. One of the games on my Saturn, Shining the Holy Ark. I played and beat. That was fun. Shining Wisdom is another over the top Zelda-ish game. You know, it plays like Zelda 1. And then there's a Shining Souls on the GBA. I've played and beaten that. So yeah, I've played some of the other Shining quote unquote series, even though they don't
retro.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So not much comparison to the other, because there's a few other modern ones. I think loose, but they're like very loosely connected. It's just like,
yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of like saying, oh, you played Final Fantasy 9. Oh, then you definitely played Final Fantasy 6. Be like, well, there's no connection except for the name. The universe is different, the characters are different, heck, even some of the gameplay mechanics might be different.
Sure.
It's moniker of the series, kind of like Tales. Started off as Tales of Destiny, moved into just Tales of XYZ then.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's what I've been up to.
Excellent. So then I think we got some news topics to cover before we kind of jump into some of the later bits here. So let's just go ahead and run through there. The first one being a topic that was kind of a divisive one like a year or two ago. A lot of mocking of No Man's Sky when the game was released, to everybody's dismay, and didn't deliver on what people had hoped it was going to be. I don't know if you remember much of that.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. I had some friends who were like, because there's this whole kind of genre of these games. You know, there is the Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous. I think Elite Dangerous released around the same time as No Man's Sky, or maybe a little bit sooner. And then some of the other kind of like space exploration, combat, civilization games. So I think a lot of people had expectations, especially when they were saying, "Oh, you can do this and you can do that," and they're showing these like majestic trailers, and things didn't really pan out that way when they released it.
You'll never see the same person on these planets. These galaxies are so expansive, and
well, you'll never see a person. Pretty much what happened, because there is no online functionality whatsoever. And they lied about it completely. But 2 years later, you know, they've surprisingly enough, I think this goes to show that, you know, they weren't trying to scam people, which is just what a lot of people were saying, is they were trying to, you know, scam people on empty promises and whatnot. But the fact that they've continued to work on the game to the point where there is essentially this massive update that's called No Man's Sky Next, that is essentially making the game what they kind of initially were promising.
okay.
So, but you know, you still have all the exploration and the crafting and whatnot, but now there's online functionality where you can run into other people, you can join up with other people and like group up and stuff. You can make kind of set up camps wherever you want. I don't know if they did much with like combat. I didn't read like a lot of the finer details of it, but kind of the main things.
So just some like quality of life changes and stuff like that.
Pretty significantly so, especially with, you know, the multiplayer feature, which was, for these kind of games, I think that can be a pretty significant thing, especially if they if there's any sort of, I don't know if there's like combat outside of like running around with your harvester gun or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you can like PvP and stuff, but I don't know. It actually has me interested enough to, like, once it is released and people start talking about it and saying, "Hey, yeah, this is pretty sweet," I might actually consider checking it out, because at first, like, I thought it looked really cool, but I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy that kind of gameplay. You know, same reason I haven't played Star Citizen or Elite Dangerous, but I was interested enough in No Man's Sky that was a little bit more accessible, a little bit, you know, lighter on some of the heavier elements that the other games do, where they have like, you know, like I have a friend that plays Elite Dangerous,
Okay.
and his computer desk is essentially a cockpit. He has multiple monitor setups. You know, he's got his keyboard tray. He's got throttles and joysticks on both sides. He's got foot pedals and stuff. Like,
Jeez.
that's hardcore. And it's a crazy game. Like he's shown me some stuff, and it's like, wow, this game's nuts. Not really my thing, but that's kind of where No Man's Sky kind of fits in. It's kind of like the lighter, more accessible version of these like explore the universe kind of games. So kind of cool. And I always like to give game companies credit when they, you know, they put the effort forward, even if they didn't do it at first when they should have. You know, it's worth mentioning.
Well, yeah. I mean, my thoughts on the whole thing was like, I'm not. Mass Effect is about as far as I like to go in terms of like exploration, like specifically like Mass Effect 1 and 2. Like I have the exploration bug, but it's more in RPGs. Like I should say JRPGs to be, but this stuff is just so big when I get so overwhelmed when it's too big of a sandbox, so to speak. I'm just like, I mean, when I first played Skyrim, I was just like, where do I go? I mean, yeah, I go to the town, but I'm like, what's that over there? What's that over there? What's that flying in the, like, I get too overwhelmed, and then I'm just like, and I don't enjoy myself, even though I loved Skyrim, don't get me wrong. So like, it's just too big. Like when they were first coming, they're like, you'll probably never see another person. This galaxy, you know, our galaxy is so expansive and this and that, and it's a journey to the center of the universe or whatever. But you know, my thing about it is, you know, and they have other updates so far besides this one that have people, the player base has said like, okay, you're starting to make it right up to us. You're starting to make it more what you said. So it's not just like it's been 2 years, nothing, and here we go, big patch. But I have a buddy at work too that he plays it, and he's like, oh, but you should have saw this update in this patch. But
right on.
to get to my point, when they promise all these things when they're making the game, this is what I would love to know. I'd love to be able to talk to these guys, but nobody ever asks them the hard question is, well, you guys are beta testing this and playing it as you make it. Do you not see the lack of what you're out there boasting to the communities? Like, we're going to have this and we're going to have that, and you're going to be able to do this. And then when you're playing your game as you're making it, aren't you going, all those things I just said to those guys on GTV, not there, not even remotely in this game. Like, why do you say it then? Right. Why do you Peter Molyneux all these things, and then you come out and then you know, and I believe the creator even like was like, I think I got too harsh a criticism for my game. It's like, no, dude, you are dealing with people who keep getting told all these different games from years ago to tomorrow that's going to have this and this and this and this, and then you play it like Aliens, Colonial Marine.
Well, even like Watch Dogs was, you know, not as bad. Like, still a decent game. I played it and it was still good, but graphically and, you know, some of the gameplay functions are like, you know, showing you these trailer or this, you know, actual gameplay footage, and it's like way doctored. And
did we say actual footage? We meant with Photoshop on our computer, not yours. Whoopsie. It's just like, I guess. I mean, I guess if that's what you're going to go for, but
yeah.
So that's my thoughts on it. I mean, good on the fan. If you're a fan, good on you. It's not my cup of tea, but I'm glad that people are getting, you know, hopefully what they paid for.
Yeah. Then another, I guess, kind of like DLC. Well, a few DLC announcements, a couple more, anyways. The Hollow Knight Gods and Glory DLC has been announced. Team Cherry put out a trailer. Doesn't give a ton of info about it, and I can't really find like the finer details of what this is going to be. I'm sure they'll release something coming up here, but the Gods and Glory DLC will be released on August 23rd. And if you know anything about any of the other DLCs that they released for Hollow Knight, that they're completely free, so that's always awesome. Cool. And it looks like it's going to kind of be end game content more. I kind of get like a battle arena vibe with like some of the already existing bosses in the game.
So you say boss rush, maybe? Like a maybe boss or like an endurance wave, like waves and waves.
Something. I was really hoping for something a little bit more story involved, but maybe there is. And they're just showing you the highlights for a trailer, but I wouldn't. I don't know. I'm not expecting a big story DLC, but we'll see. It's a good opportunity for me to jump back into the game and at least play through the only bit of DLC that I haven't played yet. And then I can kind of truly kind of close the book on Hollow Knight, at least for some years until I get the bug to replay one of the best Metroidvanias ever made again.
Well, I was going to say, at the tune of $3.99, how can you go wrong?
Right. Yeah. And I think it's always good to keep up on some of that stuff when you can, especially free. I'm bad with DLC usually. I don't buy much DLC.
Yeah, I don't either.
If I'm playing a game when the DLC is available, I'll probably jump on it. But if it's released after the fact, I usually don't.
Okay.
But speaking of another DLC, and this time I believe is actually a story-based DLC, is the, I believe, also final South Park Fractured But Whole DLC is being released. Bring the Crunch, dealing with Mintberry Crunch, and that's being released on July 31st. I haven't really read up too much on the content because that's one that I kind of want to go into mostly blind, but sure. It's essentially, it looks like it's kind of a side story. It's taking place at a summer camp, and they're kind of doing there's kind of a slasher film thing going on. And like I said, I don't know the full details, but more story-based DLC for the South Park games, that's what I want, because those games I thought were fantastic, and I can always use more South Park.
Well, I mean, who doesn't need more South Park? That's the question.
Right. Yes. So then I got a couple other things, nothing too wild. I've kind of had this habit lately of kind of mentioning some, I guess, more viral things, cool YouTube videos and stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of people have already heard of this, but there was a Uncharted fan film that was released it was shortly after the last podcast, almost, I think it's a little over a week ago at this point. But it's not just any Uncharted fan film. It's an Uncharted fan film with Nathan Fillion.
Yes.
And if anybody's aware, that's what the public has been clamoring for an Uncharted film, because not only does Nathan Fillion, who is mostly well known for Firefly, I would say.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. But not only does he look kind of like Nathan Drake, the characters that he generally plays is that sort of character. And I don't know what the end goal with this fan film is, because we've heard talks of, I think John Cena or something is going to be Drake. Uncharted. It's going to be Drake in whatever Hollywood Uncharted movie that's being worked on. But this was 15 minutes long. It's not necessarily a setup to a story, but it's a kind of opening event. And it's freaking awesome. It's, nothing too wild. There's some action, there's some fighting, some window jumping, some gun shooting, but it's, it feels like Uncharted, looks like Uncharted. Nathan Fillion did a great job as Drake. I recommend everybody check it out. Just look up Uncharted fan film, Nathan Fillion. And hey, maybe this will be enough to sway, some decision makers. Hey, maybe we should re-examine it. Unless they actually signed up John Cena and they're yeah, he prints money though.
Well, kind of to build on you're I don't know why they did it, XYZ. Mm-hmm. It's the same. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but after the second Punisher, a couple years down the road, a fan made a short on YouTube. It might have been posted somewhere else originally, but I saw it on YouTube, called Dirty Laundry. and it
Mhm.
was Thomas Jane reprising his role as Frank Castle as Punisher.
Interesting. I didn't know about that.
It's really well done. I think it's called Dirty Laundry or something, but Laundry and Punisher on YouTube, you should be able to find it. It's like 15, 20 minutes.
Mhm.
It's just, Thomas Jane doing some laundry and some bad guys show up and crap goes down.
Yeah.
And I think why people do that is they're like, because I mean, obviously Thomas Jane was the original Punisher in the movie, not Dolph Lundgren, but the new one.
Right.
And then I forget the actor's name for they changed to the other guy. And
Yeah.
I think it's people. I think it's just fans' way of saying, "Hey, you think you know what we want? This is what we want."
Oh, that's definitely true. And like I'm more curious to like if like Nathan Fillion was like, I mean, I guess it ultimately doesn't matter how much he was involved in this fan film coming to be.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be really cool if like him and another dude were sitting around like, hey, people have been saying that I should be in a Uncharted film. It's not going to happen. Let's just make our own. Like, I doubt it's like it ended up like that. It's probably the director was like, hey, I'm going to do this. You're the guy.
You're my guy.
But it's great. It really is.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I want to say I remember when Uncharted, the actual movie, was talked about, and everybody overwhelmingly said Nathan Fillion. And I remember something the studio or whoever like, no, we're not going to go with him. And people, and I think even Nathan Fillion commented, he goes, "Oh, I kind of wanted to do that after finding out, or if he did know about Drake, it was like, I kind of feel bad. I think I would fit that part because he does. He has the look perfectly, and he has that charisma.
Yeah,
he's such a charismatic guy. Like, I mean, if you remember the what was that Neil Patrick Harris thing, the Dr. Horrible sing along or whatever, and Nathan Fillion played the Tool, the corporate Tool. Oh, he's just such a great. I love Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So then I think the only other things I have here that are more mentions than anything are some, fanfare, I guess, for some collector's editions, because everybody knows I'm a sucker for collector's editions. So why not just kind of mention them in case anybody hadn't heard about them, or if we want to scoff at the ridiculous prices attached to some of these.
Let the scoffing begin.
Primarily, there's been a Resident Evil 2 collector's edition that's been announced, which, I was hoping that there would be a Resident Evil 2 remake collector's edition. I just didn't expect it to be $200.
Oof.
Which, I don't know. If you really think about it and kind of look what it comes with, it seems fair to some extent, but very similar collector's editions get released all the time for $120, $150. This comes with, the game, I believe Steelbook. You get a statue, comes in a box, special, designed box forever. And, I think there's a bunch of like stupid, pointless DLC that's tacked onto it that they say this DLC is worth money. And it's like, I'd rather that my collector's edition be $50 cheaper than give me like the Samurai Edge pistol or a couple costumes or something.
Yep.
But I digress. It is what it is. It's Resident Evil.
You're paying for that statue.
Yeah, and it's a nice statue.
It is.
I guess my main complaint is that it's not a statue including Leon and Claire. It's just Leon.
Yeah.
Which really kind of boggles my mind, like why they would go that route and not do both. Even hell, don't do a 8-inch, do 2 6-inch figures. Whatever. At least you get both of them. But I almost suspect that. I wonder if at some point they're going to have, oh hey, this other company just happens to be making a Capcom approved Claire statue. That's going
which I will buy.
Which I'd much rather have than Leon, but personally. But that's just
well,
nice.
Here's the thing. As a more of a hypothetical question, if you could choose the Leon, meaning if you could choose the game Leon's from as a statue, would that make a difference for you? Meaning, like, if you could choose like Resident Evil 4 Leon or
No, for me, Resident Evil 2 Leon's like my best favorite iteration of Leon.
Okay.
So
You like the original RPD policeman?
yeah, by the time you get to 4, you got the emo haircut and he's all like dark and gritty and stuff. And I mean,
Emo haircut. Oh, jeez, that was good.
I mean, you just let one side grow out a little longer compared to the second one, kind of covered up his eye a little bit. But, I mean, I guess there wasn't much depth to the original or the Resident Evil 2 Leon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of depth to any Resident Evil characters, I'd say, honestly. But, I just, that's my favorite Resident Evil. Leon is in my favorite Resident Evil game, so that's the Leon I'd go with. How about you?
Leon's not my favorite character out of the series.
Definitely not mine.
I mean, and not because they're female, but I do like Claire and Jill. I mean, if I had to choose my favorite character out of the series, it's Claire. Just because I love Code Veronica.
Yes.
More than I should. Not saying it's a medium. I'm going to say the word wrong. I always call it mediocre.
Mediocre.
Yes. Mediocre.
No, I'm right there with you. Resident Evil 2 is my favorite, and then Code Veronica is my second favorite Resident Evil. And I will say, if you're a Claire fan, even though it's not as great as the first one, Resident Evil Revelations 2, I enjoyed it. And that has Claire as well.
Because, I mean, like, if you even break it down, like, I like Jill, too. For whatever reason, they seem to give more development to the females of their series than they do the males, except Leon. Leon seemed to have gotten a lot more, I should say, better story arcs than Chris.
Well, Chris is just a meathead the whole time.
Well, that's the thing is, like, you look at him in Resident Evil 1, he's just as aloof and wondering what's going on as everyone else, and then he decides to find steroids. It's like, what?
What? He discovered steroids.
I mean, Resident Evil 4, he comes, or 5, and he's just like, whoa, super jacked.
Roid freak.
I mean, he was in Code Veronica as well, and he was just normal Chris, like, oh, I got a distress signal, I came here, I'm here to help. And then after, whatever happened after Code Veronica, dude went, I'm a gym rat? Oh, what's that? Horse steroids? Here we go. I'm part of the BSAA. Like, what in the world?
Yeah, that was always honestly, that was an issue that I had with like Resident Evil 5 and even like 6 is like everybody's just like roid freaks and
yeah.
I mean that to some extent that might be some male's fantasy, but that's not my male fantasy of male characters.
Yeah,
so
not mine either. Like, being in shape is one thing, but that dude, if they were ever going to make a Chris Redfield into a movie, then go get John Cena, because John Cena would be perfect.
Right? Probably.
There's where John Cena should be.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh,
good point. But so Resident Evil 2 Collector's Edition, I believe it's still available for pre-order. It's GameStop exclusive, unfortunately. So that's always a ho-hum.
I don't know. When things are exclusive to a store, it doesn't mean their price is going to be. If this was on Amazon, it'd still be $200. So that just means you have to. I know people screw GameStop, and I don't get why. They're a store at the end of the day.
There's no in-store pickup, so you have to get it shipped.
Oh, that's gross.
And if you want to get it on release day, you have to pay for higher shipping. Do you know what release day shipping is for Resident Evil 2 Collector's Edition?
I'm going to say like other places I order from, like $80.
Surprisingly, not that much. It's $25.
Oh, okay. That's not terrible.
Well,
I've
seen
some places that charge like $80 to be the day it comes out shipping. I'm like, $80? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't. I believe Best Buy does day one delivery for any pre-order. You got to pay the standard shipping, but you get, unless I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong.
I'm okay with my Amazon Prime, even though you
Yeah.
can pre-order it, but it's always the day after. I don't know why they can't figure out how
really?
to ship people. I've never gotten
Mine
the game on the day it comes out. So like
have
Tuesdays are usually like our big release day for
Yep.
major titles. I'll get it Wednesday.
Huh. Interesting. I believe I always get my games on release day.
Well, then you are from Amazon?
Yeah.
Oh, you're lucky then. I've never gotten on release day.
Maybe it's that like suburb privilege, even though
No, I'm rural. I'm considered
guess.
rural. I'm far enough from
Guess.
the downtown area.
I guess not very, but I digress again. So
Right into the next collector's edition.
yes, this one kind of an odd one, and there's a lot of debate about it surrounding the game. Gun Media just announced a Friday the 13th Ultimate Slasher Edition for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And basically, this is a Game of the Year edition of Friday the 13th, the game. So you get the game, all the DLC that's been released. Unfortunately, as I've talked about before, there's not going to be any more DLC because of that legal dispute about the rights to Friday the 13th going on now.
Wah, wah.
But so you get the game, and then comes with a I think it's NECA, NECA. Is that how you NECA or NECA?
NECA.
NECA is making a included mask, Jason mask, which I think I've heard people say that you can actually just buy the mask like separately. It's been available for a while.
You can buy the mask separately the whole time. Just wait till Halloween and go to a Halloween store. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I think this is like a higher quality one.
No, I'm
like,
sure. I'm making a joke.
But I believe it is $70.
That's not
So
terrible. It's not terrible.
not terrible. A lot of people are upset because when the game was originally released, I believe it was $40. And then they've done a few DLCs, emote packs, costume packs that might be like $10, $12 total for all of them. I guess I don't remember exactly. And then people are like, oh, well, you're mostly paying for the mask. But a lot of people are upset primarily on the fact that Gun Media had announced that, hey, we can't make any more content from the game because of the legal dispute. And people are like, well, if you can't make more content, why can you make this collector's edition?
I mean, that's a fair point.
They actually said that pretty much anything that hadn't already been like approved or the ball was rolling on it, that they couldn't do anything. And this was actually something that they've been working on for months. It just happens to be, like a month after that news came out that they announced this. But people were like, oh, they're just doing a cash grab and stuff. It's like, what is any Game of the Year edition?
No kidding.
Essentially what they are. I mean, typically Game of the Year editions are a game, and these games aren't supported anymore, but here's all the DLC that comes with it. You get it all in one nice package, and you're off to the races. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm still a huge fan of the game. Like I said, it's no... I forgot what I was just going to say, but I got like 300 hours into the game. Fantastic game. I don't know how it is on the consoles. At least I know on Steam, the PC version, that you can pretty much always still find a game. There's not a ton of people playing. I think it averages like 500 to 800 players every night, which is pretty small for a game. But the fact that you can go in a game, hit, join a lobby, you're in a lobby within 30 seconds, I think is pretty good.
Yeah, why not?
People still play it. A lot of fun. So if anybody hadn't picked it up, here's your opportunity. Includes all that extra stuff. It has the single player challenges, has the Jarvis cabin. They've added a bunch of maps, a bunch of extra characters. It's a great package. The collector's edition is kind of whatever if you're into that thing or not. But even if you can just get the game with all the DLC, I think it's a great purchase. Awesome game.
Well, I think what you're going to see here is like you say, the player base right now is small, and that's fine. it's kind of dwindling out. But I guarantee you, if within 6 months to a year, if they make that free to play, just like fine, here, you know what, we've made every dollar we possibly can. We're probably never going to get this legal thing figured out in the near future. Here, just open it up. I bet you'd have thousands of people playing that game if it was free.
Maybe. I don't know. It already seems like it had its chance, and it really, like, I'm still really convinced that it's primarily because of Twitch streamers. For some reason, the streamers jumped on to Dead by Daylight. It got released sooner. It was a direct competitor. Essentially, they said, hey, we're making Friday the 13th, and oh, hey, wait, there's this Dead by Daylight game that looks oddly familiar. And they just it resonated with the streamers for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if maybe Dead by Daylight's more fun to watch people play, where I think Friday the 13th isn't necessarily a fun game to watch. Like if somebody's playing like freaking out and stuff, like maybe that's entertaining, but Friday the 13th is a game. I really believe it's playing it and watching it are two wholly different experiences. You don't got the isolation or the tenseness or the adrenaline if you're just watching.
Sure.
Being chased compared to watching somebody being chased are two different things. So I don't know if Dead by Daylight's an easier to watch game, but that game, it's doing pretty well. It, unfortunately, there was a lot of, I wouldn't say there was a lot of issues, but there were some bugs and stuff. But what games don't have bugs? I think a lot of it has to do with the console version. I don't know. It just sounds like the console version didn't have a great community.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, being dicks and so on and so forth, So, it is what it is.
Are you trying to insinuate that the console group are a little more toxic than you PCers?
I'm not popping the collar, hashtag PCMR here, but I will say that PC game communities tend to last a lot longer because they're basically always there. Where with a lot of console games, it's it's really when that game is hot, you can play it online. When the game's not hot anymore, nobody's playing it, and good luck, trying to get full matches or this and that. It's.
I would say it depends on the game, really, because you will find people still playing Black Ops 2 on 360.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Where PC people are like, whatever, that's old news. That's not even 4K, man.
I'd imagine there's probably still people PC playing all the versions. It just happens. Some people like a particular game and they stick with that game. And the Call of Duty games are some of the highest selling games in the US anyways. So there's a lot of people playing them. But yes, so yeah, more collector's edition goodness if you're into that sort of thing. Then just one other thing, I've talked about it when they announced it, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have a release date here coming up soon." Well, they finally put out a release date for the Shantae Half Genie Hero Arati Tops Charaguman figure, which was the second figure by Charaguman. They previously released a Shantae figure. They're basically kind of like a kit, so you have to put it together yourself, and it requires some extra steps and whatnot. But the Roddy Tops one is going to be released on July 27th, so coming up here in a few days.
Is it painted then, or do you have to paint it yourself too?
It's mostly painted, so they're a lot of the kind of like anime figure kits. Typically, you have to paint them.
Okay.
A lot of times they'll come in. A lot of pieces will be like hollowed out and whatnot, and just kind of like put them together. And where these are resin cast, so they're everything is solid, no hollow pieces. The primary parts are already the resin itself is already the color. So like with the Shantae, Only bits that have to be painted are her medallion, the gold on her medallion on her chest, her eyebrows, and then they recommend, I think, painting over her shoes to give them more of a gloss, but very minimal painting. Although you need like 4 or 5 different paints just to do these little spots. And then you need the paint codes and everything. So, not much painting required, but a little bit. It's actually surprising with these resin kits, like how, if you want it to look as good as you can possibly make it look, they take a little while to do, and that's why I still haven't put my Shantae together.
Okay.
Because you gotta sand them. You still gotta do light sanding on them. You gotta cut all the pieces, fit them together, make sure that they fit together, perfectly. They always recommend reinforcing any connective joint. So, like if you connect an arm to the body, they want you to essentially drill a little hole into the arm and the body, and then put like a pin. It's called pinning. You got to do that, and then there's some process to it. It looks like kind of the vibe that I get is anywhere from, like, depending on how good you are, I guess, or how thorough you are, from like anywhere from like maybe 10 to 20 hours of. I mean, I'm sure people have done it a lot faster. They just clip off pieces and stick them together and call it good. But if you want to get it looking, if you like ordered it pre-assembled, it's going to take you a little effort, and that's fine. And that's why they're significantly cheaper, because usually figures like this can be like $200-$300, and these are the Shantae was $75, Roddy Tops is $70, and that's essentially because you're doing your work. It's kind of like IKEA. That's why IKEA stuff is surprisingly cheap, because you put it together. Save yourself a lot of money.
Well, I mean, and you get to kind of have fun making something that you say, hey, I put that together. Yeah, the piece is already molded and somewhat painted, but I mean, if you can probably get as detailed as you want if you're really good at that stuff.
Right. I've not for these figures, but I've seen some other ones. I watched some, I wanted to make sure I could do this stuff, so I watched some tutorial videos of other people doing other, and some people like go crazy with, like, they'll like fully, like, even if it's like pre-painted, they'll like airbrush the whole thing to like make it look even better, give the skin better, light reflectivity and shadowing and stuff. Like, I can't airbrush, or at least I've never tried, so I'm not going to buy like a whole crazy airbrush kit to even experiment, because I know I'd fail without lots of practice, and I don't got really time for that. But
well, and you have to buy everything too then. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of an investment. Just like, just one figure that I really, really think is cool, and I made it look ugly.
Yeah, I guess that is one kind of like warning I'll put out there for anybody who's looking to get involved with these figures. So pretty much at this point, I've decided that moving forward, I need to get somewhere down the road, I need to get a few more of these figures to justify what I spent on all the tools and everything, tools and paints and files and steel pins and the paints. Like, I think I spent more on tools and stuff than I did the actual figure, but I have the tools forever essentially. And
well, I mean, that's good too, though, because I don't have quite as much of that stuff, but I do have a lot of the scalpels and stuff like that. Because when I play Dungeons and Dragons, I buy a lot of pewter figurines, and not quite as extensive as what you're talking about, but I know the terms you're talking about, because some figures, they'll say, yeah, poke this little hole, do this to make this work better. So
yeah,
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right on.
So with that being covered, let's move in to the new segment called What Up With Dat?
What up with that?
What up with dat? So what this is me and Church have each chosen a game. Now, one person is going to take what we believe is a widely accepted within gamers as a good game. Like, sure, it has its faults. What game doesn't? But you're going to take a widely accepted as like, oh, yeah, that's a great, like Mario 3. Most people would be like, oh, great game, fantastic game. And what you're going to do, because you're going to be up first, and we've chosen Resident Evil 2 as your game. And what we're going to make you do is you're going to try your best to convince us how terrible of a game it really is. Like, we're all blinded. We have the wool over our eyes, and we're just buying into that game's great. You're going to tell us why that game is not as good as we think it is. And on the flip side, you chose the game for me, and I have to do the opposite. I have to choose what people would loosely, but yes, really consider to be a not good game.
Mhm.
And you chose for me Friday the 13th on the NES. And what I have to do is I have to take this widely, like, oh God, that game, really? You're going to choose that? It'd be like Bubsy 3D on PlayStation 1. I have to defend why you guys don't realize how great of a game it is. And so we chose all this stuff beforehand. Church chose what he wanted to do, and then we chose a game for him. And then obviously that leaves me with making a bad game sound great. And Church chose that game. So we're going to let Church start off. Again, he got Resident Evil 2, and he's going to tell you why it's not that great of a game.
Yes.
Let her rip.
So Resident Evil 2, or as I like to call it, Resident Evil Poo, because that's about what it's equal to. So you have this game released on the PlayStation 1. It's called Resident Evil. Groundbreaking game, kind of like, there's already survival horror at that point, but then they kind of revolutionized it with Resident Evil. Fantastic release. A lot of people credit it as being like, one of the pioneers of the horror genre for video games.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do Resident Evil 2, and what do? They make it bigger, but they didn't really do anything with it. You still got two characters. There's Leon and Claire. You got a day one cop, and then you got some random chick. Like, they're not even like, spec ops units like the Stars. Like, they're just like, two jamokes. Like, what's up with that? What up with that?
What is up with that?
Then, graphically, I mean, it's easy to take pop shots at the PlayStation 1, but, we can't ignore its faults. These blocky characters that, unless they're doing like a CGI cutscene, like, it barely even looks like a person. It's kind of this blotch. Okay, that's a guy. This one has a couple extra blotches. Okay, maybe that's a girl, I guess. Gameplay. I mean, we all know about the tank controls. Worst control scheme ever made. I mean, let me just say one thing: Super Mario 64.
Oof.
I didn't have tank controls. They did that just fine. Why couldn't they do that in Resident Evil 2?
Yeah,
you're a sequel, big budget. Big deal. Like, and they didn't do anything with the controls. Design wise, I was thinking about the zombies and the monsters and stuff, and there's no consistency to the lore here. So you got this virus that it turns these people into zombies. But why is this thing like got its brain exposed and the super long tongue and can climb, and all of a sudden you got this crocodile that's like the size of a bus? Like, does the T virus make you zombies, or does it turn you into super monsters? Like,
what up with that?
What up with that? Who hired these writers? It doesn't. I don't know. People think it's great. I don't see it. And then. You got some guns and stuff. You can't really headshot zombies. Like, that should be like, I mean, it's zombies. You headshot. Like, why can't I headshot? I should be able to like 360 no scope and stuff, and I can't even do that.
Well, you can kind of wave your gun up and down.
Wiggle it. Maybe the shotgun if they get close. Like, it's sure, it's a shotgun. I mean, what aren't you gonna hit with a shotgun?
True.
But the pistols and the flamethrower and machine guns and whatever. Story wise,
like this game.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't get it. Storyline. I mean, it's okay, I guess. Like, it's two people trying to get through, and then all of a sudden they're gonna like figure out what's going on and like save the day. This rookie cop and this random girl. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, what do they got to prove? He doesn't have a job anymore. Raccoon City's destroyed, and the girl, like I said, who the hell is she? Oh yeah, wait, she's Chris's brother. That's her. That's her motivation. Chris ain't even in the game, so it's pointless.
Yeah.
But it's just a lot of random stuff. Seems like it's just thrown in there to be thrown in there. Why is there this? So I kind of get it with the first game. Well, actually, it totally makes sense with the first game. You got this secluded secret mansion, built by whoever, and the big crazy secret lab underneath it. Plausible. How did people not know there was this like massive facility built under their city? Like that would be a little obvious. There's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of employees working there.
A couple dump trucks, to say the least.
Something like nobody knew that this stuff was going on beneath their city. Why is the police station filled of like puzzles and trap doors and secret switches and stuff? Like, who the hell does that? Like, I don't think I've ever been in a building with a secret room or a secret door. And this one just has them everywhere.
Or at least you'd notice it, like, oh, why does this door have a big crested emblem lock on it for some reason that wasn't there yesterday?
Like somebody would have put 2 and 2 together. When I'm wandering in there, zombie apocalypse going, I'm half gnawed. I'm like limping around, which is annoying as well. Like, why does my character have to be limping? This is video games. I'm living in a fantasy. I should be a badass.
Right?
You get like gnawed on by a couple zombies and dudes like dragging his leg and stuff. But it just keeps going more and more and ridiculous. Like, was it the mayor of Raccoon City is like a crazy dude, and he's got like his dead daughter laying on his desk and stuff. It's like,
the chief of police. Yeah.
Oh, chief of police. Thank you.
Yep.
It's so pointless. Like, I wasn't even able to remember those details. It's just like, whatever, dude. I just want to kill some zombies and win the game. And he's yakking about his daughter, and I don't know. I guess some people might be into that. I don't know. I don't buy it.
But clearly not you.
Clearly not me. Soundtrack. Like, what soundtrack? No. Five Finger Death Punch backing, or at least they could have thrown an AC/DC song or something. This is CD quality audio, and I don't get no CD quality music, so it's kind of like, I don't know. And then what makes it worse is if you want to switch characters, you actually have to like shut off your system, take out the game, put in the other game. It's a hassle. Sometimes I don't want to play as rookie cop, and I want to switch it up, play as the whoever girl.
Want to play as Boobs McGee,
That's precious time that I have that I got to waste switching discs, which I don't know. They pioneering technology, maybe. I'm pretty sure I got like a collection on my PS4 that has like multiple Resident Evil games on that. I don't got to switch discs.
Right.
So, yeah. Resident Evil 2.
What up with that?
What up with that?
Wow, I want to take my copy and go break the discs right now. I didn't realize how terrible that game was.
I was looking at it, and it's like, why? I don't even have Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles in my collection. Like, I refuse to add that to my collection, but this one right in front, like, it's like, why? Why is this right in front of my Resident Evil collection? I don't know.
I think it needs to go to the back of the bus, so to speak. I mean, like, go away, Resident Evil 2.
Tucked behind the stack, because I got like a little display of like all my Resident Evil games, and it kind of has a slight wrap just because I try to like spread them out so you can kind of see the covers. But like my Resident Evil 6 is like almost, you can just see the spine label, because it's like, fuck that game.
Well, not anymore. Sounds like it just moved up in the world.
Right. So, yes, bad games. I like to be a little bit more positive on this podcast. I don't like to like trash talk games and stuff. So, maybe we should switch focus here. I think we should probably look at this Friday the 13th. The
Oh, don't you want to take a look at? You want to?
Friday the 13th game for the PC that they just released was like I thought it was something special, but there's this Friday the 13th for the NES, made like what 25 years ago.
So you want to talk about the greatest game no one's ever played?
I want to know what up with that.
Well, I'll tell you what up with that. Friday the 13th for the NES. Okay, back when we were wee children, we were all intimidated by this game. Not because of how scared we were, like, oh, my older brother or my parents let me watch Friday the 13th, and I was really scared, and I peed the bed when I was a little kid. That game's probably going to make me do the same thing. And what we didn't realize at the time, and what I know now, is that it would make you pee the bed with awesomeness. So not only does this game grab you by the throat and put a machete up to it, opening scene, you hit that Nintendo, you hit the power button, and what happens? Knife right through Jason's mask. And you're like,
intro.
Oh, excuse me, can I have my breath back? Because you just knocked it out. I am ready for this slaughter fest. Because normally it should be the machete going through your skull, but it's going through his. So it's like already twisting the story, bending it up.
And that's almost like CG graphics before there was even CG graphics.
Yeah, it's already setting for it's laying pavement for the future. They're like, here, go ahead. My coattails are for the grabbing. Grab on and hold on for the ride.
Yeah.
So you start off and you are given a map. So you're already, predecessor to Sandbox? I think so. You're like, whoa, look at this expansive map. I got, Lake Crystal in the middle, obviously. I got some boxes that may or may not be cabins. Ooh, I got a spooky forest over here too. You're like, and then the game's like, hey, you get to choose what character you want to be. And you can change it at any time you want. Already a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
Mario and Luigi, suck it.
Right.
You get, it's a green Mario, and we'll call him Luigi. This one had all these different characters, all these different personalities, and they know, like, you know what? The personalities don't even matter because you're just here to slaughter. So you choose your counselor, and off you go. Now, you get this kind of cool little beat. It loops a lot.
Yes,
but that's okay because it's such a catchy beat. It's like the McDonald's jingle. You're just you hear, you're like da 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 da. I'm loving it. That's what this jingle and this game will do to you after you hear it straight for either 5 minutes when you die, but you shouldn't because you're just a zombie killing Jason murdering machine.
Right.
And you're going to hear this song a lot. So right off the bat, your character picks up whatever they can find and chucks it at zombies. Now I know you're probably going, wait a minute. Friday the 13th and zombies and bats? What does that have to do with it? Be like, little unknown fact you guys didn't know. There's a Friday the 13th bootleg between 1 and 2 that explains why zombies are in there. Mm-hmm. Not really, but I'm going to say there is.
Yeah. Well, Jason's a zombie if you really think about it.
Well, technically, it depends on which one we're talking about.
That's true.
The first couple, he's not. Well,
yes.
The first one, obviously, spoiler alert for those of you, it was his mother.
Crazy.
Yeah. If you're upset at me that I spoiled it, it's been like 30 years. Get with the program.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so you start off chucking rocks. Now, how many games have we all played where? Let's keep it to the Nintendo realm, like old NES, Super NES. Like let's say Contra. Your character can shoot up and it can shoot, left and right. Now, your bullets just go in a line. Your first starting weapon as a counselor, oh, by the way, I forgot. Each counselor has strengths and weaknesses. Some run faster, some jump higher, some can take damage better.
Innovation.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless for how much fun you can have. Almost. Yeah, almost. You pick up items. So your character starts off throwing rocks. Now, if you're like me and you're sick of the standard up and down, left and right shooting schemes, like all those other lame games, this one goes, hey, there's 2 enemies coming at you, and they're going to get close to you, and they're going to damage you. You probably want to kill the one in the back first.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I do. I never like killing the one that's immediately in front of me. I like to kill the ones in the back. Well, you're in luck, my friends, because the rock has this ridiculous arc that will not hit what's in front of you unless you're ducking. So already we're off to a great start.
Right.
Now, if you're playing and you didn't read the manual, like a lot of us tend to do, we don't read the manual. We're just like, I want the hot-paced fire action right now. You might start hearing beep, 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 and you're like, what is that? So you're like, well, clearly nothing's happening to me. The monsters aren't doing anything. I'm going to bring up my map. And all of a sudden you're going to see one of the cabins is blinking. And you might go, well, I don't know what that means. But you know what? Damn it, I'm going to go find out. So I'm going to make my way to that cabin. Now, it has a great, if you like puzzles and mazes, well, you're in luck yet again, folks. Because this game, the patterns and the walking paths kind of make sense. You know what? And it's not because the game's designed poorly. I know a lot of people want to say that. They want to just, game design, poop.
Right.
No, I think it's breeding creativity on our part. It's like the Dark Souls of NES games. They're like, you didn't fail finding your way to that cabin because the game was too hard. It's because you needed to get good.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So once you finally make it to the beep, beep, beep cabin, you have to enter that cabin and watch out because the perspective changes. You're not just going left and right, up and down. Now you have this like third person, first person mode, and you navigate the cabin. And again, you like mazes and puzzles? Bam, you already got a new maze. Trying to figure out the layout of these cabins? You like challenges, you're going to love it. Well, what's happening is Jason is in this cabin somewhere, and he's ready to fuck your day up. So Jason might show up while you're in this cabin, and if you do, watch out for some intense music, some bone-chilling tensity, and a one-off between you and Jason.
And that's, at that age, that was like my dream, you know.
Yeah.
Jason, he's right there. He's in my video game.
Like, I'm not going to run away from him. I got rocks. Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot. You can there are other, like, kind of like Castlevania. There's weapons that you start off with a rock. You can upgrade to a dagger. You can get to the fire. There's like little flaming sticks, I guess. Apparently, you can throw at people.
Sure.
You know, there are a plethora of weapons. So obviously, you want to upgrade from the rock. Granted, when you upgrade from the rock and go to the dagger, it's back to the old left and right, and you have to just deal with what comes at you.
Give or take. Sometimes you gotta make sacrifices.
So in true Friday the 13th style, now this is where you guys are gonna love this part, and really this is where the appreciation and the continuity of the Friday the 13th series really shines. Is once you're done putting your boots so far up Jason's ass, he's like, I need a 5-minute smoke break. You kill Jason, and you get a little cutscene saying, hey, you knocked his bitch ass out. And he lays there. It's just a screen in black, and he's laying there. And then his head twitches, and it's like, oh, crap, he's not dead.
Just like the movies.
Just like the movie. So, boom, you're getting 2 times the entertainment. You're getting, like, movie references and an original game. So, I don't know how you jam-pack... Like, LJN, you guys can say what you want about LJN. They jam-packed that game so full of awesomeness, if you're a Friday the 13th fan, that your mind should be blown by this point.
Oh.
So now you have options. You can try to save some campers. If the beep beep goes off, doesn't necessarily mean Jason's in the cabin, but most of the time it does. You try to save campers because Jason is just hacking them off. He is just drilling them away, and you want some of them to survive because you don't want to be a complete useless counselor at this camp. But now you have different options. Hey, do you like rowboating in video games? I know I do. You can rowboat around Lake Crystal.
Quick way to get around.
Yeah, quick way to get around. You want to get to their side of the lake in 5 seconds flat? Boom, get in the rowboat. Hit it.
I wish they had a rowboat in the new Friday the 13th. They got a motorboat, but not a rowboat.
Yeah, anybody can get in a motorboat and blah, 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 and that's noob sauce, okay? Yeah. Noob sauce. Get in a rowboat, manhandle that stuff. You're defenseless. You got birds coming at you. You got sometimes Jason will run by you underneath and like rip your butthole open, but you still live. You're like, ain't gonna stop me today. So now you have different options. You can either just keep farming the paths and hope Jason shows up and you can kill him again, or that spooky forest I talked about before. You can go find his mother and kill her to get her sweater. just like in Jason Friday the 13th too. Yeah, again, more movie reference. Seriously, do you even need to watch the movies at this point? Just play this game because it's got like
Really?
the core mechanics set up for you.
Perfect.
So basically what happens is you just have to kill him 2 more times and then he's done. He's just like, I don't want any more of you counselors. You are he ends up turning into the thieves from Home Alone. They're like, we don't want no more of you. We're done. We have learned our lesson. Jason's like, I'm done. I'm just going to go die now. I'm going to fall down and die.
Yeah.
And then it just says, hey, congratulations. You whooped his ass. That's verbatim.
That's, I mean, all of that sounds pretty awesome. I mean, like you'd mentioned like Super Mario 3.
Did I mention the awesome soundtrack? That's kind of important too. Just making sure you don't forget that part.
The cabin theme, like the cabin theme is really good.
It's creepy.
Really
I feel a sense of dread when I'm in those cabins.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say for any of those NES collectors out there, like there's the must-haves, and this is kind of sounding like one of those games.
If you don't have it, you better before the price jumps up to like $100. Then you're gonna be like, oh man, Cardboard told me I should have grabbed the greatest game I've never played, but did I listen? Oh well. And you're kind of, you know what? If you don't grab this game after you listen to this podcast, you're gonna be like the game over screen, which you should never experience in this game because it's too awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Is all your friends are dead. Good job. Way to go, noob.
Jeez. That's
what you are if you don't go buy this game or don't own it already. You're a noob.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. And I have to say, for all the haters that hate this game, what up with that?
What up with that?
Yeah.
So make sure to let us know what up with that. And might be doing this again in the future. We're gonna try to make it mixing up some ideas and doing some fun things here and there. And this is one of the ideas. So hopefully you enjoyed. And as always, feel free to throw out suggestions.
Yes, please.
So speaking of a little bit of community involvement here, so we're gonna move on to the community question. So this is a question either submitted by a listener, which please, if anybody has ideas for interesting questions that we can throw in, let us know. And last week we had put out the question, Justin had the recommendation of this question. When creating a character in a video game, and you can choose male or female, which do you choose and why? So before we give our responses, I wanted to cover a couple of the community comments on that. and bless his heart, Black Metal Gamer, always with great comments. He says, I tend to create my character as a fat woman because I feel strong and independent and don't need no man.
Amen, brother. Mm-hmm. 3 snaps.
Then had a comment from Torture Vision. He says he always plays female characters unless there's some technical reason why a male character is preferred, like if he has more desirable stats, he can jump higher, etc. His reasoning is rather simplistic. If he's going to be staring at a character for hours at end, he'd rather it be a hot girl than some muscle-bound dude. Also, boob physics, whenever implemented, are hypnotically amazing.
Yeah, I kind of land in that camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And then we had one other comment from Do You Nerd? They said, where does it start here? When picking characters, Tom usually goes with the most generic one, as it doesn't typically matter to him, though he may take just as long to give them mutton chops if possible. Lady Lacey, on the other hand, always plays as female due to the fact that growing up with games, the retro stuff didn't give her this option. So, of course, she's making up for lost time. And
very true. Good point.
Yeah, I thought that was a great point there. So Thank you for your comments. So then,
Well, hold on, but before you move on to
Mhm.
what your answer is, I have to disagree with one thing though.
what's that?
How I don't know if she played it. I'm assuming that was a she. I'm sorry, I didn't catch
Yes,
the name.
Lacey. Yep.
Lacey. Sorry, I apologize. If you played it, I would actually honestly be very interested to hear how you felt when you played Metroid and found out at the end that what? It's a chick.
Samus is the girl.
What?
Metroid the girl.
Get out of here.
Actually, that would be interesting to hear. I can't really say I know of many times I've heard other women comment on that. I'm sure I've seen something before, but yeah, I'd love to hear thoughts on that. Yeah. So then I guess I'll give my answer first.
Mhm.
And one thing I do want to, one other thought I had on this discussion comes from a discussion that was had some time ago. Another friend just presented this question. And when he presented this question, it was more, he was testing people. It was kind of weird, but essentially it's like, play what you like to play. You don't have to justify it. You don't need reasons. I think in some of these cases, people, when they say, "Hey, do you play as male or female characters?" and someone says, "I play as female," they feel like they have to like really justify it, to be like, "Well, this is why it's acceptable, and you shouldn't judge me."
Mhm.
I say play what you like, and that's fine. But I do typically, and I would say in most cases, will play as a female character. There are some exceptions, I guess. Like for instance, if a game and this is kind of like some meta shit going on here. But sometimes I'll look into a game, like say Mass Effect, for example. When Mass Effect was getting kind of hyped up and stuff, people were like, "Hey, there's all this romance stuff you can do in this game." And I was like, interesting. So when it came time to choose, am I going to play as a male or female character in this game that has like heavy romance stuff? I'll actually look at some of the romance options and kind of see what character I like, and then I can make decisions based on that. Because some BioWare games you can have gay characters.
Mhm.
So sometimes it doesn't matter because I want to romance the cool and cute girls and stuff in these games, or not always the case, because sometimes I just strongly prefer a female protagonist that much, like Mass Effect Andromeda. So Mass Effect 1 through 3, I did male Shepard, and then Mass Effect Andromeda I did a female. I went with female Ryder, although she had the gay option with crap. I'm drawing a blank on the character's name. I'm not going to remember the female. Sorry.
Sure.
For instance, Dragon Age. The first Dragon Age 1, Dragon Age 2, I did a female or a male warden, male hawk, and then for Inquisition, I did female Inquisitor. But typically, I like to do the female characters. Usually, if somebody wanted my justification on why I play as female characters, I mean, it's wholly innocent, like no maliciousness behind it. But for me, in my eyes, I find the female form to be very aesthetic. I'm a big fan. I like pinup art. If anybody has seen my tattoos, I have pinup tattoos on my arm.
Mhm.
It's just it's what I like. It's no disrespect. I'm not like my female demon hunter that I made in Diablo 3. I'm not like I want to bang her. Oh yeah.
You
Like
didn't?
I mean, I'm not saying I would. But that's not my
I
motivation.
wanted to bang mine. I don't care. She's talking bad at you. She's like, the blood of hell will flow through my arrows. I'm like, dude, I am so turned on right now.
I'm not saying, yeah, but it's I especially in fantasy games, like where you can kind of do like the cool armors and stuff, like
Yeah.
a badass heroic woman, I think, is badass. Like, muscle bound dudes,
it's been done before.
It's been done before.
It's kind of like Lacey's comment. We haven't been given the option. It's always been dudes.
Right. And I mean, I guess on the flip side, like, women could probably make the same argument when it comes to like women in games. Like, they're all, slim, busty, or, revealing stuff, and they're tired of seeing that. But, it's, and honestly too, in the end, there's whether people want to, well, we're not going to get into the debate, but there's also like biological factors that say, hey, I prefer to see women because, that's a natural instinct that we have. That'd be my long answer.
Okay.
Short answer, like I said, is, just good. I like playing women characters. Like, I will say if it's a game that has like, well, I guess they don't have games like this anymore necessarily, but like when I used to play the 2002 Neverwinter Nights, and I played online, and we played role play, like heavy role play in 4 servers where you actually had to be in character, have a character background, and this is a character in a fantasy world, not you at a computer playing a game.
Sure.
In those instances, yeah, I'm a little less likely to play a female character, but I don't get involved with like, romance and some of that goofy stuff that happens in role-playing games online. I don't know if many other people have played role-playing games online where it's all, it's usually we'll go on an adventure and now we're going to have drama between characters because this character loves this character, and that's not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's my answer.
How
about you?
That was pretty thoughtful. I like that. I have to agree with kind of what's already been said, but I mean, obviously, I'll fine tune mine. Yeah, I've grown up playing dudes all the time. Contra, Akari Warriors, Mario. Heck, I mean, even in a weird way, Ninja Turtles. I mean, everything's been dudes, which is fine.
Yeah.
But once I think I've got of age, which it kind of coincides with it, I found anime at a young age too. I don't mean like under 10. It was like probably like 12 or 13. My buddy's like, here's Ninja Scroll. And I'm like, oh my God.
That was your introduction to anime?
In Ninja Scroll, yep.
Wow. That's quite the introduction.
I honestly, it's kind of weird because if me, if people knew me, like I'm a very indoorsy person. Like I can easily spend my weekends in front of my computer or on my TV or PlayStation, whatever. Sure. So, but I did not watch a lot of TV growing up. Like a lot of people would be like, we were doing something, but I got to run home and watch a TV show. Well, I've never done that.
I wasn't judging like your access, because actually like around that time, like the early 90s was really when I think a lot of people in North America at least got their exposure to anime. I had some special circumstances where I was exposed like in the mid 80s. And kind of grew from there. But a lot of times access to anime is usually going to be, especially for people our age, like, maybe the original Dragon Ball or Sailor Moon. But we're turning this shit up to 11 and we're going with Ninja Scroll. Holy cow.
Okay, to be fair, yes, I do remember the original Dragon Ball TV series and Sailor Moon. But at the same time, though, if you look at those anime styles, they weren't. You could put them on par. Well, at least Sailor Moon. You could put that on par with Transformers.
Yeah, so they're cartoony. Like Ninja Scroll is definitely more mature.
Well, but if you, from my thinking was, you have Transformers and Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joe and all these other great classic cartoons. To me, Dragon Ball was just some weird, goofy cartoon. I'm like, oh, okay. And Sailor Moon was obviously a little more geared towards the girls because, it's. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it was bad, but at the time, growing up as a kid, it's kind of like, you want to play with a doll or your Legos? Ew, gross. I'm a boy. I don't play with dolls. At the time when I was young, I mean, not now, but so I just didn't think nothing of it. I didn't know what anime was. A kid at that age, it's just like, oh, it's just another cartoon. So when my buddy shows me Ninja Scroll, I had never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
think of a cartoon that has that much violence.
Yeah.
Time's up. There are none.
Right.
I mean, G.I. Joe, you got
Lasers.
guys, they're shooting each other with lasers. There's no blood. There's no gore spilling all over. It's just like, oh, they fall over. Oh, that's how people die, I guess.
Ninja Turtles
And
never
robots.
actually use their weapons.
Yeah, they just defend and they kick him in the Foot Clan in the head and they fall. Oh, they're knocked out for an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that was, but the anime formed to females as I got into the age of, oh, there's some twitching going on down there. What's this? As we'll call it puberty for the lack of a better term, but finding out, hey, I'm attracted to things.
Yeah.
Anime, like you say, it forms it perfectly. They have the perfect size breasts and they have a great small waist and they don't look like they've had a carb since they were 10.
Right.
So, like you say, they're aesthetically pleasing. So like all my RPGs on like all my MMOs I should say no, I did play a male back on EverQuest when I tried that when I was younger, but wow, all females. Final Fantasy 11 online, all. But to be fair on that one, 11 had racials. So they're a race of cat women. They're basically humans with cat ears and a tail.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have fur anywhere else. They were called Mithras. They had high dex and high agility. And in that game, high dex and high agility meant accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
So my buddy's like, you have to start off as this class. Otherwise you're going to be missing from high hell. I'm like, okay. So they're like I think Black Metal, where he said like unless there's a reason to be a different race or a different sex. So in 14 that I play, I'm a cat girl because it's aesthetically pleasing. You have elves that are beautiful. You have these dragon women that are they're just like you say. The figure is pleasing to me, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'll be man enough to say it. Yeah, it's fantasy. The key word being fantasy. But to say like if this person walked out of my screen and I wouldn't be like, oh, let me put on some music and go get my Hugh Hefner robe. It's go time. I would be lying. They're attractive.
Yeah.
But at the same time with you, I agree. If I had to choose a guy, it's not the dude who's the John Cena ripped, like huge muscles, six pack, and I just like the regular Joe Schmo look, like. How to best put it, like the 80s detective, like the Bruce Willis's, like you're a dude, you're a scrapper, you're a rough and tumble type guy, but you're not jacked out on steroids and at the gym every day.
Sure.
So, but I mean, like I say, you have a lot of different women personality and you can do different things with stories. Like women don't always necessarily react the way men do. Like for games that let you choose, like speaking of Resident Evil 2, the way Leon reacts to situations and the way Claire reacts to situations, Leon just seems aloof, like, oh my God, what is that? Where Claire's like, oh my God, like she sounds like she's scared.
Sure.
So
inflection, I guess. Yeah, and I mean, it's not like a deciding factor for me, but another good example would be games like the BioWare games, where they will throw, like, if you're playing a female character, they're actually going to throw you in situations where you encounter like basically some resistance because like you're a female, and it sometimes adds extra layers. I think there can be some, people can make some analogies to society and so on and so forth. Like there's all that political stuff, but like I think me and you both agree, it's not. It can be whatever you make it, but for the most part, like we're just kind of picking what we like. That's what we like to see.
Yep.
That's it's my video game, my enjoyment experience, and I think it's fine.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it. So yeah, I think that's a great question.
Thank you, Pete. Thanks, guys, for the responses that gave them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. And then for the community question for next week, we got one that, many of you might have encountered before, but we haven't done it on the podcast. And I think it's a good discussion. I think we specifically want to hear more like the why on this one, but what is your favorite controller and why? Why is it your favorite controller? And then, I think there can be a lot of interesting interesting thoughts on this one. I got some thoughts to share next time. Maybe, people probably won't be terribly surprised, but I'm looking forward to hear what others say because you never know.
I mean, and to add a little to that too, like if you can answer it, I mean, for me, I would accept a 2-part answer. Like if you just say, the Super Nintendo controller is my favorite. But if you liked a feature of another controller, maybe like one specific feature of a different controller, yeah, say that too and why.
Yeah.
Like maybe you really, really love the C-Stick on the 64 controller. God knows why you would, but maybe you do.
Yeah. And like I said, it's all valid. It's your opinion.
Yep.
No hate from us. So then with that, I just kind of want to look at some upcoming games in the next couple weeks before we close out the podcast here. Maybe we can mention something that maybe you didn't know about. Maybe there's something cool coming out. We don't know until we look at the list. But being this time of the year, there's not a whole lot of big releases coming out. I think in the next 2 weeks, it looks like a lot of just ports, honestly. Like Sundered, which was kind of like a Metroidvania for the consoles. That's getting a Windows port or a PS4 port. I'm kind of confused on that one. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong... I'm actually looking at the wrong calendar. Hold on.
As I say, I'm not seeing what you're looking at.
Sorry. Let me fix this. I actually put 2017 instead of 2018.
There you go. Good job.
Yeah, professional podcast host here.
I tell you what, I'll pick up the ball on that one.
Yeah,
stuff like the Mega Man X Legacy 1 and 2 collection are coming out, which you want to talk about redoing stuff for a cash grab. Thanks, thanks Capcom for again. This is like the third time they've done these because they've done them on. Well, I have the originals, like the Mega Man collection and the Mega Man X collection on PS2.
Yep, same here.
They did them on like the Wii and the 3DS, and now we're going for the round 3. It's just like, sure, why not?
Yep, pretty much. I have no plans at this moment to pick up the X Legacy collection, but who knows, someday when it's like super cheap, it's like, hey, I can play this 1080p now. Like that could be kind of neat, but past that, like I'm good. I already have it.
Exactly.
And then let's see, there's the Banner Saga 3 that's coming out on the 24th. I have the first one, still haven't played it. Here it's fantastic. Here it's really freaking hard. It's a series I would like to catch up with at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But, if they got 3 of them that says good things, usually they'll get canceled if they're not. Let's see. What else we got? PC port of Yakuza 0. So a lot of the Yakuza games are hitting Steam, which is cool because more exposure for that series. We've shared some thoughts on it before. A lot of listeners are big fans of it. A lot of friends are big fans of it. I have Yakuza 0 now, thanks to Jason. He hooked me up with a birthday present, so I got that.
Yay!
But I haven't gotten to it yet, so eventually. Then one game I'm actually pretty excited for. Well, pretty excited. I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm not like dying to play it, but Dead Cells is going to be released on the 7th. Which I think is probably a little further than I was looking, but that's coming up here pretty soon. That's kind of like a pixel-based Metroidvania. Did I miss anything?
Like I say, just like, I mean, mostly a lot of these titles are ports, like Hello Neighbor is finally coming to console.
Eastport.
The Memories of Celceta is going to Windows, which, a lot of the newer RPGs within like the last couple of years, if not current, usually start off on console and make their way to to PCs, which is cool. Because I mean, if there's people out there who just go, nope, I'm not a console person, they still get to play some of the great RPGs that, don't get to come there.
Right. The PC's really been ignored when it came to Japanese ports of games for ever. So it's actually really cool that they're doing this now.
Well, I mean, I could understand someone being in a position to agree, though, that, well, why they suck anyway. Like, take for example Dark Souls, when it, they ported it to the PC after console, and people were like, "What is this load of crap? It won't even run at 60 frames per second. I can't even max out the resolution. The lag is." Terrible in certain areas.
Mouse and keyboard was basically unplayable.
Oh god, I can only imagine how bad that had to have been until they added, someone finally modded it for controller support. But and the thing is, though, is a lot of these Japanese companies at those times, not now so much, but then they admitted, they're like, we don't know how to port these to PC. We designed them with consoles in mind. Well, now we have to, like, you pop it in your 360 or PS4. There is no, oh, you know what? I don't want max graphics. I'm gonna kick it down a little bit. No, it is what it is, depending on your TV and your inputs. PC, obviously, if you have a high-end gaming PC, you're like, oh no, we're cranking this to 4K on ultra settings. If you have like a 1080 or something, but these games were coming out and going, well, we don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, honestly, there's a good amount of games that get ported from consoles to PC that they don't give you additional graphics options or anything. Like maybe screen resolution, but yeah, they're definitely, they understand how to port games now. Maybe they just needed somebody to get the ball rolling, get the coders out there to know how to do that.
Well, if I'm mistaken, I would appreciate if someone could correct me, but off the top of my head, the only JRPG I can think of that a company's gone out of its way to make a special optimized version for PCs is Square Enix with Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition. Like, the reason why it took so long is because they were still crafting it specifically so that PCs, it would just be breathtaking. And all the reviews I read, I haven't bought it because I'll play it on my PS4 instead of my PC. Even though I have a somewhat high-end PC. It was like, that's kind of cool. They were saying, they even said it take longer because we have to handcraft this so it'll play at the lowest settings on a PC or the super mega unbelievable high end. And it seemed like the graphics were just breathtaking on PC. So
yeah,
I mean, they are coming around to it for the RPG fan.
Yep. And yeah, I think that's great. So unless you see any other mentions there.
Not really. Like I say, I mean, even looking at the list for August, which I'm not going to jump too ahead of it, just for me, I'm holding my breath for September. That's my baby.
Yeah, definitely. Like I agree. There's some stuff in August, but September.
We'll obviously don't jump in the gun. We'll wait till maybe the next podcast where we can actually talk about August. But
yes. So then I think we will start wrapping things up here. What's your plans in the next couple weeks? What you doing for gaming?
Well, since it's an RPG, Shining will take most of my time. I did something I was fervent about, and I broke my own rule. So I'll make this as quick as possible.
Okay.
I played the Assassin's Creed series back in the day when it was coming out as is. So I was a 360 boy at the time. So I played up till 1, 2. I think the next one's Brotherhood, and I forget what the fourth one is. I can't remember.
Black Flag?
No, it was before that stuff because it was still like Brotherhood. It's still the Ezio.
Oh, okay.
So it's where he's old and he goes to like Egypt or something, and he
Origins.
Might have been that one. I don't know. But by the time I got to there, I was just like, I am so sick of this repetitive gameplay. I'm done. I'm never playing another one again. The story had me hooked. I loved the story. I was like, what's going to happen next? What are they going to find out? And then I was like, I don't even care. I'm sick of killing these people. And like the guards go, who did that? Like, you saw me do it right in front of you, you idiot. But anyway, so me and a buddy at work were talking about the story, and I couldn't remember certain parts. So I watched a retrospective of the Assassin's Creed story up to the one that just came out or is coming out. And I'm like, I want to play again. So I went on Amazon and I bought up all the Blu-ray or PS4 versions. Like there's an Enzio collection that has Assassin, like all 3
Yep.
of the Enzio ones. I bought Black Flag. I bought 4, the one where you're the Native American dude. I think that's Assassin's Creed 3. So just Assassin's Creed 3. And like basically except for the first one, I have on the PS4/PS3.
Cool.
So I might start a little bit of that just to get back into the swing of things.
So I've thought about getting back into those games at some point, and I think if I ever do, I'm just going to play the story. I'm not going to do the extra stuff, the like find all the flags and all the towers and all that stuff. Like just beeline it through the story. But I mean, I have other friends that love Assassin's Creed. I got nothing against the series. I hear Black Flag is awesome.
Yeah, my buddy at work played it, and he's like, seriously, you need to play just like, if you're going to play another one, play that one. I'm like, well, too bad. I already bought them all, so I'm going to start them again.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. What are you doing?
Well, like I said, still playing Breath of the Wild, so we'll see if I'll get that finished before the next episode. If I do, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to play next, but I did recently get Sonic Mania Plus for the PS4, so to run through that, I'm pretty sure that I believe it's only like a few hours to run through it. So, playing a big game, knock that out, then I think it's always a good opportunity to try to squeeze in like a few small games, work on that backlog a little bit at least until more stuff comes out. And like I said, there's got like a month and a half here until the flood of fall games. So yeah.
I want to do something very evil to you right now.
What's
in the
that?
sense of, for those of you listening to this podcast, if you made it this far, hopefully you have, because it's really entertaining. I want you to do me a favor. In the comments, demand that Church play Dragon Quest VIII.
Well, I mean, Dragon Quest...
Hold on. So the reason why I say that is because every time like either on the podcast or outside when we're just hanging out doing stuff, you always say, everyone keeps telling me I have to play Dragon Quest VIII. I have to play it. I have it. I own it. I own a PS2, but I've just never played it. Yeah. Yes, it is a longer game like Breath of the Wild. You're going to put some serious hours in, but because you haven't played any of the Dragon Warrior / Quest games, if I'm correct, right?
Just the first.
Okay, just the first. So you know the pains of the old school grind.
Oh yeah.
I want people to show their support and say, once you're done with Breath of the Wild, to start that one up, because I think it's something you should play.
I thought about it. For this summer, I was like, I'm going to play one of these big games. Okay. And Dragon Quest VIII was on that list. It was basically like Dragon Quest VIII, Persona 5, Breath of the Wild, or Yakuza 0. And I was like, Breath of the Wild being like, it's a Zelda game, loved by the industry. People are like losing their minds over it last year. So I was like, I got it. Jason had hooked me up. I did an unboxing video. He gave me a Wii U. He gave me Breath of the Wild. I was like, you know what? I'm going to play this. Like Dragon Quest VIII has been on my list. Like every time I'm looking to play a game, it's like Dragon Quest VIII maybe? And I don't. But now Dragon Quest XI's coming out, and I'm absolutely going to play Dragon Quest XI. I got the collector's edition on pre-order, so when that comes out, I'll probably jump on that. So I don't realistically see myself playing another 100-hour game in the next couple months, let alone another Dragon Quest game. But I like where you're going with that, because I do need to play it, and it's still going to be on my list even after I play 11, unless like 11 ends up being like my favorite thing ever, and it's like there's no way 8 is just going to ruin the series for me, but I want to play 8 because it's fantastic. Looks fantastic. Everybody says it's fantastic. So I'll get there in due time.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, yeah. So then I just want to let people know how they can find the podcast and get a hold of us. So if you are listening to this on SoundCloud, you can look over to the right. There's a bunch of links to channels and social media. You can find the podcast on SoundCloud, YouTube. If you have podcast apps, you can listen to it on there. Also on iTunes. Then you can find me on social media, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and Instagram. Basically look up The Game Grinder, and you will find me. For the time being, Justin, if you want to get a hold of him, just leave a comment, and we'll go from there. Maybe someday we'll get another social media for you, but not entirely necessary right now.
True.
So then with that said, that's going to do it for this episode of the Game Tenants Podcast. So thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
See you later, guys.
Peace.